impressive, isn't it? It took me 24 years to reach this peak. Guys, you may well have had a six-pack, but I had a whole keg. At this point in my life, I was clocking in the scales at 43 stone. 603 pounds? Was a newspaper article rather bizarrely put it recently? The same weight as 673 tins of baked beans. That's actually the same as 2,212 iPhones or one Hummer Jeep. Just kidding.
Things came to a head with his stutter when one day his teacher asked him to go down the corridor to borrow a pair of scissors. Now, it was 30 yards to that classroom, but the boy walked the walk as though we were heading to the gallows. He shuffled along, and as he shuffled, he muttered under his breath, "Can Mrs. I borrow a pair of scissors? Can Mrs. I borrow a pair of scissors?" He wanted to practice the sentence, make sure he got it absolutely spot on for the minute he arrived in the classroom. Of course, the inevitable happened, and the words just wouldn't come out. The boy's face went bright red, and his whole body twisted and contorted with the sheer effort of trying to spit out that simple sentence. And in front of him, 32 schoolchildren erupted into raucous laughter. They mocked, they pointed, they jeered. And the boy just laughed along with them, pretending that he was part of the joke, that he found it as funny as everybody else. But inside, he was hurt. He was humiliated. And he was finally broken. Now, I remember that incident every single day of my life, because I was that 9-year-old boy. You're not dressed like a 43-stone man, Nathan. Probably needs letting out a little bit at the chest, and then it'll be fine. This is the jacket I had made for the cruise. So I wasn't actually at 43 stone at that point. I was probably only about 35. Right, Nathan, can you see if you can lift up the rucksack? Watch your legs. He's done well, actually. So you don't think you'd be able to carry that around with you on a regular basis? No. If I tell you there's 120 pounds in that rucksack, and if I say that I should, for my height, be about 18 stone, I wasn't carrying around one of those. I was carrying around 3.5.
Okay, we don't just talk about the serious aspects. The whole talk has a really fun feel about it as well. After all, where on earth would you get a speaker that brings along 8XL clothing with him for everybody to dress up in?
You may have agreed with all that, but unless you start taking action, none of that's going to matter. And let me tell you, when you start taking action, things start to snowball. When I went for that first meeting with the surgeon, he said to me, "Neil, do you mind if this researcher is present?" Now, I immediately assumed that he meant a medical researcher. Turns out she was a researcher for a TV company. And 1 month later, I was shooting a documentary for the Discovery Channel. The TV programme helped me get a book deal. The book deal helped start my speaking career. Now, if a 9-year-old boy who couldn't speak, who was mocked every time he opened his mouth, can become a professional speaker, what can you achieve? So if there's something that you need to change in your life, why wait? Thank you.